Richard Jones, born 1760 in Oyster Bay, Queens, New York, USA. He was one of 18 siblings. He married Ruth Mott, born 1775 in Hempstead, Queens, New York. It is unknown if the correct James Jones is listed. James could be an American merchant or an English farmer. There are records for both theories, so there are options for fathers in both countries, which is where we're at right here. And other surnames are not as challenging as this one. They have much more likely records to refer to. That said, the sleuthing side of things is rather compelling. All we know for certain is James Jones and Kezia were listed as parents in Thomas Oliver Jones's marriage to Margaret Goddard, meaning Richard Jones is our best American birthplace father for James, and worth looking at how these branches reach. It's 1763. His sister Freelove dies at 21. Richard is only 2. It's 1776. The Revolutionary War hits his hometown. Richard is 15. Makes you wonder if he would want to join the fight, or if his father would not allow it, or if his father would encourage his participation in something like the Battle of Long Island, aka the Battle of Brooklyn Heights. It was during this conflict that the British defeated the Americans and gained control of the strategically important port of New York, which they held for the rest of the war. It was the first major battle to take place after the United States declared its independence on July 4th, and in regards to troop deployment and combat, it was the largest battle of the entire war. After defeating the British in the Siege of Boston months earlier, Commander-in-Chief George Washington relocated the Continental Army to defend the port city of New York. Washington understood that the city's harbor would provide an excellent base for the Royal Navy. He established defenses there and waited for the British to attack. In July, the British landed a few miles across the harbor on the sparsely populated Staten Island, where they were reinforced by a fleet of ships in lower New York Bay over the next month and a half, bringing their total force to 32,000 troops. After 5 days of waiting, the British attacked the American defenses, resulting in 20% losses through casualties and capture. They then retreated to the main defenses on Brooklyn Heights. As the British dug in for a siege, Washington evacuated the entire army under cover of night, fleeing to Manhattan without any loss of supplies or a single life. The Continental Army was driven out of New York entirely after several more inspired defeats and forced to retreat through New Jersey to Pennsylvania. 3 years after the battle, it's 1779. Richard's father dies when he is 19. A year later, the sky turned black in New England, New Jersey, and Canada. The May sun appeared faint and red for several days. Then one morning, this red sun was covered by clouds, shifting colors from red to yellow, then brown, before the entire sky descended into blackness. As a sooty rain fell from the bleak curtain of the void, it's reasonable to understand our ancestors may have thought the end was seriously nigh. George Washington even remarked on the event in his diary. While some turned to barometers and scientific observations, others turned to prayer, others to rum, while somehow others simply carried on with their duties as if it were any other regular day. Needless to say, there was a collective rejoice upon daylight the next morning. The poet John Greenleaf Whittier described it as, "Men prayed and women wept. All ears grew sharp to hear the doom blast of the trumpet." It's 1794. Opposite of doomsday and dark clouds, the sun shines bright as Richard is married at 34. It's 1795. His first child, Phoebe, is born. 2 more children follow before 1800 and the turn of a new century. In May, his mother, Phoebe, the namesake for his firstborn, passes away. He is 39. The next year, James is born. 6 more children follow by the time 1813 rolls around. Richard is 53. It's 1819. He loses 3 siblings in the same year. 1834. His wife passes away. 10 years later, in 1844, Richard passes away in Michigan at the age of 84.